I walk slowly. Because I was in a hurry, and I carry the smile. Because I cried too much. Each one of us composes our story. In each series, I carry it wherever I can. And be happy. Walking slowly. Does it refer to being aware? Sometimes, in a hurry, I don't see. In a hurry, I often fail to perceive what is around me. Sometimes I look at others in a hurry, and I jump to conclusions about others. That is how prejudice is born. The concept is one thing. The preconception is another. When do I have a concept of someone? Does it mean that I looked and evaluated? You understand. When I have a prejudice, it means that I saw a little. I didn't see everything. But I already think I have a concept. Not me. I only reach the concept after I have broken the preconception, after I have entered the room of the other person's life. Understanding is not this, me entering the tent with another person. If I want to understand what you are telling me, do I need to stop? Pay attention to you, including listening to what you are telling me, without saying it. It is not without reason that, in psychoanalysis and psychology, a good therapist is one who listens to silences. The experts say this, that we reveal ourselves more in what we hide than in what we say. So a good therapist is one who has the cunning to perceive the pauses that reveal us. A good therapist knows how to decode the silence of the other, because sometimes it is precisely my silence that reveals me, because in my silence lies the fear of speaking. Are you afraid to tell what bothers me so much? So there are people who go to therapy and keep going around the problem, because they're afraid of getting to problem. The therapist, the good therapist, has his mastery of pulling the cord, pulling our speech, because what speaks to us is what heals us. It is what we speak. When I am able to verbalize a problem, I am already solving a good part of it. The more hidden the cause of my suffering is within me, the more the suffering will oppress me. Learning to talk about what oppresses us is extremely important. So when do I unlock? And I am able to talk about it. Oh, what a relief. It is not a feeling like that. I see this a lot in confession, with people who seek out a priest for confession. My friends, it's not so much about confessing sins. It's not about venting about their lives. So much so that we need to make a distinction. Look, if you want to vent, I can even listen to your venting, but now you're going to tell me about your sin. We'll resolve the confession. I'll absolve you and everything's fine. Then we'll go into the venting session, which will be a time when you'll also receive spiritual guidance. Because in confession, I have limits. I can't talk about your sin later. For example, I'll just listen. I'll come to an understanding with you about how you can overcome it. And that's it. I can't, after you finish confessing, keep talking about your sin. Do you understand? Yes, it's as if it were unethical on the priest's part. When you come back to confess to me, I can't even forgive you, and you've already overcome that, right? Sin is not something you talk about. You have the right to tell me that I, as a priest, cannot keep pulling your tongue to make you talk about your sin. So, sometimes that is why it is so important to distinguish the sacrament from confession, from spiritual direction and counseling, but many people seek out priests in church. It is because they do not have the money for therapy. Is everything okay? When a priest has a good human formation, he is a good therapist too. He understands human souls. Have you seen many problems in life? So, is he a good counselor? Yes, it can be good advice. So, when I learn to talk about what oppresses me, I am already healing a little of what is oppressing me. The spoken word has an enormous power to remove from us. So the process of life, can it be therapeutic? I can live my therapies daily, gradually achieving greater well-being. Now I need to be unconscious. And in my rush, I don't see. Sometimes I don't see the other person. I don't see myself. I remember that last week we talked about the distinction between tiredness and dissatisfaction. Sometimes the person is not tired. They are dissatisfied with the life they are leading. Vacations solve tiredness. Vacations do not solve dissatisfaction. What solves dissatisfaction is a change of direction. It's decision-making. And in this song, there's a neighboring verse in which the composers were very, very, very intelligent and very sensitive. Do you want to know about mornings and mornings? See, they are two words, very similar. There's only one without a place. It's as if he wanted to say, We need to learn to distinguish things. The distinction is fundamental. Knowing how to distinguish tiredness from dissatisfaction, for example. But in a hurry, we don't distinguish anything. What often makes a person unhappy is the hurry. What do they live for? In a hurry, you don't realize the value of things. In a hurry, you don't even taste what you're eating. Experts say we should chew how many times? Every spoonful, 50 times. Look at that. There are people who fall over their food and have already swallowed it. Anxiety. Did you know that when you eat slowly, when you chew slowly, food gives your brain more time to process satiety? So that little plate that you would have eaten 3 times in a hurry, you wouldn't need to eat again if you start slowly. Because by eating slowly, your brain understands that the body has already received the food it needs for satiety, which is why obesity is often associated with anxiety processes. When eating, the person eats too quickly, not giving the brain time to identify that it has had enough food to satisfy the body. Will it ask for more so it doesn't play? The information that the body is already satisfied. Try eating more slowly. You will taste the food better, and you will have less need for quantity. I see it clearly. Sometimes we are on the road, and we go a long time without eating. When we get off, we find a restaurant that has self-service. For example, do you want to leave there with 45 dishes prepared? It's not like that. The one making that dish is your hunger. The one making that dish is your anxiety. If you had the calm to make a smaller dish, eat slowly. You wouldn't need to eat so much. So, when I choose to live more calmly, I benefit my entire frame. Spiritual, mental, and physical. I don't grow my spiritual life in a hurry. Do I need to stop? I need to retreat. We talked about this all month. The inner life is a construction. It doesn't come overnight. And I have some instruments that build the spiritual life. Prayer, fasting, reflection. This is only possible in the pause. I want to have all this, but I want to continue living in a hurry. It won't work. I want to know how to distinguish tiredness from dissatisfaction. In a hurry, you won't. You have to listen to yourself. If you don't have a habit of listening to yourself, you won't know how to live the distinctions necessary for your well-being to happen. On another point, in a hurry, you won't be able to meet anyone. Will you live? Driven by prejudice, because you don't have the will to look at people. You don't have the will to read the warnings in the stories. Sometimes you don't have the will to read a book to the end. In fact, this generation is even worse than ours now, because I'm still a generation that read. Smiley, I have the habit of always having a book with me, but in my generation, I already had the habit of summarizing. How many of my classmates did I see? The books that were required in school. You have to read them, because in literature class you can take a test on that book or the entrance exam. I don't know if it's still like that. The entrance exam is what they used to say, right? When you signed up for a university to take the entrance exam, you were given a list of the books you had to read, because they would be required there. I don't know what's required today. And there are people who read the summary. Now that's funny, right? It's the summary. It won't give me the full story. I want the whole story. Because it's the process of building the story that generates satisfaction. Reading is a satisfaction. It should be for all of us, which is a human element. It's extremely important for the intellectual formation process. Those who don't like to read will have difficulty speaking. Those who don't like to read will have difficulty writing. And it's not without reason that language today is increasingly poor. The vocabulary of our young people is very poor. Many words are falling into total ignorance because they are not used. Language, we are a living organism. If we don't speak, we forget. If we don't say certain words, they will die because no one will know their meaning anymore. And all this because we live in a rushed pace of life. Rushed. Is it for this, for everything? And in the rush, we are not living as we could. Yes, it may seem strange. It is not to say to slow down. It is also to talk, so that you have more time for yourself, so that you have more time with the people you love, so that you can see your children grow up, to notice them. We also said here in another program that all great love, if it is not cultivated, dies. The bond needs to be cared for. Caring for each other is what makes love prevail. In a rush, it is difficult for us to love someone. The experience of love is always artisanal. It was not without reason that Jesus withdrew. He had an intense life. His missionary life was intense. He spent the day giving himself to people. He spent it healing. He spent it preaching, meeting people. But the time came when he did what he had to do, and he asked his disciples to do the same, because he knew that this retreat was extremely important, so that the next day, they would be able to continue offering people what they should offer. Replenishment is as important as work. Today we are sleeping so badly. Why? Because anxiety does not let us sleep. We take our devices to bed. They stimulate us. They stimulate us. They have a light that is scientifically proven to be harmful. With sleep, so we are all out of balance. And I have never seen so many people needing medication for anxiety as today. Of course, medication has to be used in many cases. But as we also know, many people, because they don't want to deal with themselves, go straight to medication before taking medication. Try to change your habits. Try to slow down. How are you going to stop working? It's not that you're going to stop producing. It's nothing like that. It's about including in your routine what Jesus had the habit of doing with his friends. Collect yourself. Look inside yourself. Even if you don't look inside yourself from yourself, there will be no opportunity to find the God who lives in your heart. Every time I pay attention, I am having the opportunity to find the presence of God in me. Is that how it works? If not, you will live without knowing that you have an extraordinary strength. Is it inside you? But you will not come to know it if there is no pause, if there is no moment in which you will dedicate yourself to getting to know this strength, in the same way that you need to dedicate yourself to learning a language, in the same way that you will need to dedicate yourself to learning how to do something. You need to learn to live with yourself, so that you will have less need to look for in others what only you can offer yourself. Then the therapeutic process that you will do, and it is good that you do, we all need therapy. The process of therapeutic treatment you're going to do is just one more element in your process of self-knowledge. That sometimes the only way a person has to reach themselves, to be themselves, is by looking for a therapist is wrong. I have to have in my daily life the habit of going inside myself, of listening to myself, of knowing what I need to tell myself. Why am I, the main one, responsible for everything that concerns me? So they're in therapy. My therapist will work as an aid to my self-knowledge, but I need to be the master of this self-knowledge. And the more I delve into myself, the more I will delve into God, which is the same process. There are not two paths. I always say this. There are not two paths, one that makes me reach God and another that makes me reach myself. It is not the same. When do I reach myself? I reach God. When do I reach God? He reached me. And when do I find this presence within me? I have the awakening of the force. Do I wake up? The presence of God within me. Let us return here now to the first program of the month, when we spoke of the importance of waking up, the God who enables us. Awaken, you who sleep, come out, Lazarus. Many phrases from the sacred scriptures remind us of the importance of inner awakening as a way of awakening the quality of life. May God bless us in this purpose today and always. Pour him upon you, upon your life, upon your family. Bless the protection of him who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Until next week, God willing,